Imagine your garden, a feast for the eyes and the palate. Picture bountiful plants bursting with flavor, nestled among vibrant flowers and lush foliage. Welcome to the world of edible landscaping, a captivating fusion of aesthetics and practicality, where every plant serves a dual purpose: to delight your senses and fill your plate. Throughout this video, we'll explore the principles of edible landscaping, how to design your own, select the perfect plants, and maintain your edible paradise. Ready to transform your garden into an edible oasis? Let's dive in. So, what is edible landscaping exactly? Well, it's a deliciously smart gardening strategy that fuses the worlds of beauty and bounty. This unique concept combines the visual appeal of a beautifully landscaped garden with the practical benefit of food production. It's all about designing your outdoor spaces in a way that they're not just pleasing to the eye, but also provide a harvest of fresh, homegrown food. Edible landscaping is rooted in certain key principles. One of these is form follows function, meaning that the design of your landscape should be dictated by its purpose. For edible landscapes, the purpose is twofold: to look good and to provide food. Another principle is diversity. Just as a healthy diet requires a variety of foods, a healthy garden thrives on a mix of plants. By growing a wide range of edible plants, you can create a garden that is not only visually interesting, but also more resilient to pests and diseases. Yet another principle is sustainability. Edible landscaping encourages practices that are kind to the earth, like composting kitchen waste, capturing rainwater, and avoiding synthetic pesticides. And finally, let's not forget the principle of joy. Edible landscaping is about finding delight in the process of growing your own food and creating a space that nourishes both the body and the soul. With the right knowledge, anyone can create a beautiful edible landscape. Designing an edible landscape is an art as much as it is a science. It's all about blending form and function, creating a space that's lush, vibrant, and brimming with delicious produce. First, let's talk about the design process. It starts with understanding your space. You need to consider the size, the amount of sunlight it receives, the type of soil, and the local climate. These factors will guide your plant selection and layout. Speaking of plant selection, you're not just choosing plants for their edible fruits or leaves, you're also considering their visual appeal. How will they look in each season? Will they provide a pop of color or a soothing green backdrop? It's about painting a picture with plants. Layout is the next key aspect. It's not just about planting a bunch of fruit trees or vegetable patches haphazardly. You want to create patterns and contrasts. Consider combining tall, short, bushy, and trailing plants. Think about how these plants will look together and how they'll change throughout the seasons. Aesthetics is the final piece of the puzzle. This is where you get to flex your creative muscles. Consider incorporating unique elements like archways of climbing beans, rainbow chard lining the pathways, or a centerpiece of artichokes. The sky's the limit when it comes to creating an edible landscape that's pleasing to the eye. Now let's look at some design strategies. A popular one is the food forest approach, where you mimic a natural forest but with edible plants. You have your canopy of fruit and nut trees, a shrub layer of berries, a ground layer of vegetables and herbs, and vines climbing up the trees. Another approach is the kitchen garden design, where you focus on growing a variety of vegetables and herbs close to your kitchen for easy access. Or you can opt for a permaculture design, focusing on sustainable, self-sufficient, and regenerative systems that work with nature, not against it. Remember, the best design is the one that suits you and your space the most. So start sketching, get creative, and most importantly, have fun with it. Choosing the right plants is crucial for the success of your edible landscape. Now, when it comes to selecting plants, three main factors come into play: climate, soil type, and aesthetic fit. Let's delve into each of these. First, climate. Your geographic location and its particular weather patterns will determine what plants will thrive in your edible landscape. If you're situated in a region with hot, dry summers, you'll want to gravitate towards drought-resistant plants like thyme or rosemary. Conversely, if you're in a cooler, temperate zone, leafy greens like kale and spinach will flourish. Research your area's hardiness zone, a standard measure for a location's climate, to get a better understanding of what will grow best in your garden. Next up, soil type. Different plants prefer different soil conditions. Some need well-drained, sandy soil, others prefer rich, loamy soil. And there are even plants that thrive in clay soil. It's essential to know what type of soil you have in your garden. You can easily test this yourself, or for a more detailed analysis, consider sending a soil sample to a local extension service. Once you know your soil type, you can match it with the plants that will thrive in those conditions. Lastly, aesthetic fit. This is where your creativity comes into play. Think about color, size, and texture. Maybe you want a pop of color with bright peppers and tomatoes, or perhaps you prefer a more monochromatic look with varying shades of green. Consider height and size too. Larger plants like fruit trees can serve as focal points, while smaller plants like herbs can fill in gaps and provide ground cover. Remember, beauty is in the eye of the beholder, and your edible landscape should reflect your personal taste. As you select plants, consider how they'll look throughout the seasons. Some plants offer spring flowers, summer fruits, and stunning fall foliage, providing visual interest year-round. Choosing the right plants is the first step to a flourishing edible landscape. Creating a balance between beauty and functionality is key in edible landscaping. This balance is achieved when you integrate aesthetic elements like color, texture, and form, with functional aspects such as plant spacing and sunlight requirements. Think about it this way. The colors and textures of your plants should not only please the eye but also work well together. For instance, the vibrant red of chili peppers can be a stunning contrast against the deep green of herbs. Meanwhile, the feathery fronds of dill can add a soft texture next to the broad leaves of a cabbage. But aesthetics isn't the only consideration. The functional aspects are equally important. You need to think about how much space each plant needs to grow healthily. Does it require full sun, or can it thrive in partial shade? The placement of each plant matters. For example, you wouldn't want to place a tall sunflower in a spot where it might shade out a sun-loving tomato plant. The key is to consider both the visual appeal and the practical needs of your plants. You might want to draw up a plan, taking into account sun exposure, plant heights, and colors. This way, you can arrange your plants in a way that maximizes both their aesthetic and productive potentials. Remember, an edible landscape is a living, growing entity. It evolves over time, and so can your approach. Don't be afraid to experiment and adjust until you find that perfect balance. With the right balance, your garden can be both beautiful and productive. A well-maintained garden is a productive garden. But what does it take to keep an edible landscape thriving? Let's delve into some crucial maintenance tips. First and foremost, watering is key. Edible plants, like all living things, require water to survive. However, it's not just about dousing your garden with water. It's about understanding the specific needs of each plant. Some plants prefer a good soak, while others do better with a light misting. So, make it a point to learn about the watering needs of your chosen plants. Next, we have pruning. Pruning is not just about shaping your plants for aesthetic purposes. It also promotes healthy growth. By removing dead or diseased branches, you provide more space for new growth. Don't be afraid to get your hands dirty and snip away. Lastly, we must talk about harvesting. Harvesting is a crucial part of maintaining an edible landscape. It encourages continuous production and prevents plants from becoming overgrown. Remember, the key to a good harvest is timing. Pick your produce when it's ripe, but not overly so. In essence, maintaining an edible landscape is about understanding your plants and their needs. It's about being proactive and diligent. From watering and pruning to harvesting, each step plays a crucial role in ensuring a healthy, productive garden. With these maintenance tips, you can ensure your edible landscape stays lush and bountiful. Creating an edible landscape is a journey, one that rewards you every step of the way. We've explored the concept, delved into the design process, learned about choosing the right plants, and understood the art of blending aesthetics with functionality. We've also gathered crucial maintenance tips to keep your edible landscape thriving. The beauty of edible landscaping lies in its uniqueness. Each garden is a reflection of the gardener's personality, creativity, and love for nature. It's a canvas where you paint with plants, creating a masterpiece that not only pleases the eye but also nourishes the body. So don't wait another day. Start your edible landscaping project. Sketch your design, choose your plants, and get your hands dirty. Discover the joy of watching your garden grow, the satisfaction of harvesting your own produce, and the delight of creating a landscape that's as delicious as it is beautiful. Now it's your turn to create your own beautiful, productive, and delicious garden. Happy gardening!